Welcome to the Soul Driven Podcast. I believe that when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. If you are searching for meaning and purpose, if you are unsure about how to combine the spiritual with the everyday, if you are ready to uncover who you truly are, then you've come to the right place. The Soul Driven Podcast is dedicated to exploring the intersection of living a soulful and spiritual life in a driven and ambitious world. Join me for practical guidance, truthful discussions, and interviews with people who are successfully living a soul-driven life. My name is Anna Hendricks, spiritual guide, marketer, and your host. Thank you for being here. Welcome back, folks, to another soul-driven episode. Anna here. I am back for my monthly solo episode. I guess potentially you could consider the Akashic readings a solo episode, but I guess I don't see them that way because I feel like all I'm doing is sharing the Akashic records and then translating them for you or sharing what I got from them for you, whatever you want to call it. Interpreting is probably the better word. So what's up? Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. I love that you have found your way back to the episode and are spending time with me. And I'm excited to dive into today's episode because I feel just very excited about it. And I hope that it is encouraging and supportive to you in your own life and the things that are happening in your life right now. And I mean, life is shifting so fast. Things are changing so quickly. And it's hard to keep up, like really hard to keep up. I feel like I am having days now where I'm getting downloads about things that are going on and ending the day with like a new lesson. It's like I'll be shown something and then I go through this really quick process of learning it and then I just keep moving on. And it's been happening more and more lately. I don't know if you've been experiencing this. If you have, I'd love to hear about it. You can email me, souldrivenpodcast@gmail.com. I love hearing from you all. I received such a beautiful email 2 days ago, and it just, oh my gosh, I love hearing from you. So if anything you hear on this episode or other podcasts resonate with you, connect with me because I would love to connect with you. Don't feel like I'm a stranger because I'm not at all. I'm a super regular person and I just love hearing from who's listening out there in the void because, it's not like on some social media platforms where you can like see faces on the other side or hear voices on the other side. Anyway, I'm getting carried away now. So today's podcast is really going to focus on a huge change that I'm making in my life. And I pray that it is helpful for you. You probably won't make the same decision. You might, but I wanted to share it with you more so in the hopes that it might kind of help you to see where you could make some shifts in your own life and or to give you the inspiration to do so. So just straightforward, my decision is that I am leaving my personal social media channels and I am leaving marketing in the way that I have always marketed. And for those who don't know, I've owned a marketing agency for a decade now. I've been in marketing for much longer than that. And there's so much conditioning around marketing and social media for me. So much conditioning around how I should act, who I should be, those kinds of things. And I have really been unhappy in social media land for a while. So let me back up because I didn't mean to go that far down the road just yet. I have been transitioning my life and my work out of my marketing agency since 2019 at the end of it, and really made some huge decisions in July of 2020. I think that the pandemic and being in lockdown really forced a lot of us to evaluate our lives, evaluate what we like, what we don't like, what works for us, what doesn't work for us. And it's always been a very difficult thing for me. I've actually been looking to get out of marketing since 2016 when I realized that a lot of my personal values don't align with the industry at large. And although my agency was very successful and we worked with some incredible businesses and companies, I really felt like all we were doing was just there to make people money. And while that's everybody needs money, there's zero shame in that. It was not fulfilling for me. But at the same time, I made great money doing marketing, and I am an amazing marketer. I have just an intuitive ability to understand how to connect with people, to understand what sort of messaging needs to be pushed forward. I'm able to really comb through, ideas and get to the root of what a brand is all about and bring it to life. I mean, I'm great at what I do. And I think that when we're great at things that we do, we think, oh, well, maybe I'm supposed to be doing this. We think it's a strength. And I can't remember, I heard on a podcast, this was years ago, it was a Harvard Review podcast, and these two gentlemen were on, they had written a book about strengths and weaknesses, I think. Again, it's been several years, but he shared something that just like blew my mind. And he said, even if you are good at something, if it drains your energy, then it is not a strength of yours. And I was just like, whoa. Because everything about the conditioning in our society is like, oh, you're good at this, you should make a living at it, right? I know that's certainly the way that I've always thought. It's how I was raised. It's, my mother was always like, you're an amazing salesperson, because I grew up working in our restaurant. She would see me, and she was like, you're amazing at like, just giving people like what they need and like selling things and marketing and communication. And I'm a writer and all of these things. And so, of course, that was the direction that I was encouraged, to go in. But that doesn't necessarily mean that something is for us. And in these times, especially through the pandemic, where we've really just been forced to come back and get internal, I think we've had to take a really hard look at, do I want to continue doing the things that I'm doing? And at the very beginning of the pandemic, I knew, because I know social media, when that movie came out about social media, oh gosh, what's it called? I can't even remember right now. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's a documentary. It's about what's really going on with social media and how everything is like tuned up and geared towards like getting you more addicted, basically, and how they keep tabs on us and all this stuff. It was just, for me, it was like, I don't even need to watch that because I know this is my industry. And I have never participated in those sorts of things, like, the things that stray outside the integrity line through my agency, but I 1000% know what's really going on within the industry. I always joked that we were like an old-fashioned marketing agency mixed with like modern tools, because I refuse to play the dirty games, but I'm very well aware of them. Anyway, I digress. I knew at the beginning of the pandemic and the lockdown, and I've talked about it a couple of times on this podcast, that we needed to become very diligent about what we digest. And I definitely don't just mean food, although always food, because we've got to take care of our body, which is our most important tool in this lifetime. But I mean like news and social media and what we do there, what we read, where we allow our attention to go to, right? I knew then that it was going to be very important for me to really minimize my world. But at that point in time, I was still working with clients. It wasn't something that I could just completely do. I had set up there's a plugin that you can get for Chrome so that when you log on to Facebook, you don't see your news feed, you just see like a quote for the day. And that was great. It helped me to just get on Facebook, do what I needed to do for clients, and pop back off, and then only participate in Facebook from my cell phone if that was what I wanted to. I went through several different iterations of like, okay, working like from desktop or working from my cell phone. And there was always this real big hiccup with Instagram, because being able to manage Instagram accounts, even your own, without the app on your cell phone is impossible. Unless you've got it hooked up to a business account. So that was another tough one for me. But at the beginning of 2021, I took a 2-month break from social media, and it was amazing. I realized after, shutting down that part of my marketing services in July of 2020 that I could take a break. And I took a break from social media and the podcast. I did a podcast called The 10 Things Like I Learned during that time. I can't remember exactly what it's called. We'll definitely put it in the show notes. But it was incredible. That time was, oh my gosh, for me, I realized things that I had never seen before in myself in regards to how much pressure I was putting on myself for everything from business ideas to my body image to just the energy that I was pushing into those apps. And it was wild to see my body go through like physical symptoms of withdrawal, for the first several weeks after I shut that down. Quite scary, if you know what I mean. Had to have some water just then, had to. But the bottom line is that when you're someone like myself who has a podcast, who has an online business, I work with clients. I still have a few marketing clients, and I've really been shifting my focus into building out my spiritual practice, but that still exists online because, of course, meeting folks in person, I do that only very rarely these days, but I'm still operating online. So having an online presence is important. However, I really started getting the download about a month and a half ago, right after the Lionsgate. And I think that they had been pushing this in my direction for a bit, but it was really after the Lionsgate, which is July 8th of every year, August 8th, hello, that I couldn't ignore it anymore. And it just got to be overly loud and resounding. And it was just like, I don't want to be on Facebook and Instagram anymore. I don't want to. Facebook and Instagram have become playgrounds for Facebook and Instagram. We think we're going there to interact with people we know and love, but instead we're being inundated with all of this information that we don't ask for. Like there's no real way for us to actually follow and receive the information that other people are sharing that we want to follow. It's so frustrating, right? I know I can't even tell you how many times my father said like, Anna, I don't get notifications when you share things. Like, what can I do? And through the years, again, as a marketer, I've been like, well, you can do this, well, you can do this. And those things never work long term because that doesn't really work in their favor. And, that was part of why I didn't build my Patreon community, the collective, on Facebook groups, which is where everybody goes, to do their groups. I didn't want to do it there because I knew all along, and this was even last fall, that like I wanted to get off Facebook and Instagram. And I finally made the decision, it's just time. And it was a real mind shift in my perspective because I had to realize like these networks are draining my energy. They are a huge distraction. they support very unhealthy habits in my life. I mean, for those of you who have iPhones and you see the amount of time that you spend on social media, I don't know if Androids have those too, but like, oh my gosh, crazy. I remember years ago seeing a statistic about people who watch TV, and like if you watch like an hour or two a day, you like lose like however many years off your life. I can't even remember what it was, but it blew my mind. And I was like, that's exactly why I don't watch TV, blah blah blah, beating my chest like like I'm getting by when hello, it's just my cell phone. I am a creative being. I love creating things. And through the midst of me really thinking through this, because again, as a business owner, I'm like, how can I do this? But then I really started thinking through, like, wait a minute, where am I actually connecting with people? And I don't mean just getting like or a comment. I mean, like, where am I really truly connecting with people? Because that's my heart. I honestly don't care if everyone loves my post. I want it to to touch someone, to make a difference in someone's world and life. And obviously if that's a comment about what that is, and that's amazing. I'm not discounting any of that, because anytime anyone shares any second of their time, even if they're liking a post, that's something I certainly appreciate. But like I'm going for something deeper. As an ambivert, but definitely more introvert, I want to connect on deep levels with people. And especially right now, because I'm getting so crystal clear about what my mission is. And I've realized that in order for me to truly tap into myself, I need to stop spending my energy in places that drain me, that take away from my life instead of add to it. Will I miss seeing my friends' kids? Absolutely. But the truth is that if they're actual friends, right, like in real life, not just on Facebook, they'll be sending me photos anyway, and or I can ask for them. What is real is what I want. I want what is more real. And therefore, it was like, instead of thinking I need to play this game of Facebook and Instagram, because that's literally what it is. As a marketer, I know, like I just finished wrapping up with a client. We only worked together for 3 months. And in that amount of time, I was able to see what happens to reach, what happens to numbers when you are not buying ads. And it is horrible. Think about all the time and energy that goes into a small business's posts. What they're sharing with you, what they're saying to you. I mean, in the midst of really looking clearly at the data, like I just got more and more disheartened. I stopped posting on my personal Instagram, pretty much altogether, just very sporadically over the past 4 to 5 months. And kind of Facebook as well. But it's just kind of like, what is the point? If you are taking your time and your beautiful creativity and putting it out there to the world, like, don't you want to do that with something that's in alignment with you? And if that's Facebook and Instagram for you, that's no problem. Do your thing. Like I shared at the beginning of this is not meant to sway you to get off Facebook and Instagram at all. I'm just sharing these things with you because you might be going through something similar in your life. But the real mind shift for me had to come was, I can be successful spending time on platforms that bring me joy versus being where I think I need to be. I feel like I need to be on Facebook and Instagram. Therefore, that's an unequal power dynamic, right? Because I feel like I have to be there, so I show up. And that's not cool. You're not getting a good part of me there. But platforms like Medium, I love Medium. And I haven't even had time to really invest in it. But when I'm writing a blog, I enjoy it so much. And then so you're getting the best pieces of me. Or when I'm on Clubhouse, which I haven't been for a hot minute. But I love to talk, as you well know. And I love having conversations with people. And you don't get on Clubhouse to have surface conversations. Maybe some people do, but I haven't been in those rooms, and I definitely do not host those rooms. But I want to be in places where I can really connect with people, places that really bring me joy. And so I decided for myself, I'm pulling back my energy. I'm in the midst of huge transformation right now, and I need that energy to be on me because I need to transition through this part of my life and come out in a way to do it in a way that I never have before. I'm sure you know that quote. I don't know it exactly, but it says, in order to get something you've never had, you have to be willing to do something you never did. And that is gold to me. That is pure gold. And it is also pure wisdom. And so I am personally getting off Facebook and Instagram. The podcast, the Soul Driven Facebook and Instagram will still be running. My assistant is going to be managing those. Obviously, if you need to get a hold of me, you can. She's going to be alerting me when things pop up. The cool part about when you have a business is that you can just have the Facebook business app and then be able to access those things. So if she lets me know something's happening, then I can pop in and reply or whatever it is that I need to. But in that, it's just what I have to do for myself and my business and where things are going right now. So if you do want to stay in contact with me and you aren't on our email list, I definitely encourage you to do so. There's going to be a lot of really cool changes that are coming in the upcoming months, and also some big things that are going to be coming forward. So really, I just wanted to share with you this very big decision that I've made, and also the mindset shift that I am still even in the midst of. We have gone through an entire paradigm shift over the past year. Things that were true are no longer true. The way that we have thought we needed to live our life is no longer true. That whole old adage of you got to work really hard to be successful is bullshit. It's bullshit. And I'm not advocating sitting on the couch and expecting, to manifest something great. That's also bullshit. But I am saying the way in which we navigate and run our lives is not the way. We don't have to do that anymore. The universe is here, ready, willing to work with us to create whatever it is that is most aligned for us. And I know for me specifically that I am not meant to spend my time in places that drain my energy. I'm a manifesting generator. Anything that drains my energy needs to be kicked to the curb. And I'm finally in a place in my life where I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to say, okay, I don't have these channels to promote on anymore. But that means I get to go be fun and creative and promote these things elsewhere in new ways and come up with new things, And I'm excited about that. And that's fun for me because I do have offerings that I need to share about. I do have things going on. And also, within our monthly collective, we do a workshop. And so there's always something going on that needs to be shared. But it can be done in ways that are aligned. So, again, I share this with you in hopes that it inspires you to potentially think through, rethink something in your own life, something that is dead, because that's truly what's happening on my end. My relationship with these social networks is dead. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be gone forever. I have no idea. I'm following my guidance and following what feels right for me. And I'm also taking my power back. I want to be in places because I choose to be there, not because I feel like I have to be there. And I think that that's how we need to be running our lives, and that's how we need to be making our decisions. We need to be in relationships because we choose to be in them, not because we feel like we have to be in them. We need to make good decisions for our bodies, not because we have to, but because we want to. We should want to take care of our body, not feel like we have to. It's a mindset shift. but also knowing that in the midst of that, that the universe is going to be with us, support us, and back us up the entire way. So I'd love to know what you think about this. I know in the midst of talking with some of my other friends who are business owners, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel you. I'm in the same place right now. And they're either like in the same place with other things, or they're even feeling the same way about Facebook and Instagram that I do. Whatever. I would love to hear how this resonated with you, if anything like this is going on in your life. So I pray that this feeds you, that it adds value to your life and your soul. And I ask that if it did, or if you can think of someone who needs to hear this message, please share it with them. Please leave us a review on iTunes, a subscribe. Those reviews are super helpful. And iTunes screwed up my review. My reviews are probably still screwed up actually, because some of them still haven't come in. Anyway, moving on. And if you are looking for a spiritual community, definitely check out my Patreon. It's the Soul Driven Collective. It is the extension of this podcast. And I would love to have you. We have a sweet little group in there. But you can also sign up for the email list to receive podcast updates. So folks, I'm wishing you the happiest of weeks. And don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next week.